is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello.
What the hell is going on?
Well, not a lot, really. As a matter of fact, it's a pretty slow news day. So in the absence of any real news, apart from, war and death and misery and horror, some news about Hazza and Sparkles. You know Meghan Markle, don't you?
No!
Yes, that's her. Latest headlines about Hazza and Sparkles. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's long list of royal wedding blunders from Tiara Gate to the divorce's two-white wedding dress. These are just headlines. All gleaned on one day. Meghan Markle mocked as she flaunts her sold-out as-ever spread in embarrassing 4th of July promo video. Did Dolly Parton snub Meghan Markle's invite to appear on her Netflix show? Why the Queen was not at all content at Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding, according to Royal Mail experts. Will you be slashing out £65 on 3 bottles of Meghan's new rosé and sprinkling the petals in the ice bucket just like her? How Harry and Meghan left the Queen very upset in the run-up to their wedding as rows that blew the Prince's relationship with his grandmother are revealed for the first time. The telling reason why Meghan Markle snubbed Sophie's gracious offer to show her the royal ropes, despite the Queen thinking she had a lot to learn from her. Revealed Prince Philip's stinging nickname for Meghan Markle and the warning he gave Queen Elizabeth II about the Duchess. Revealed what really happened at the Wimbledon incident when Meghan asked people not to take photos. Inside the tense moment that Meghan Markle made a swift exit from a UN Women event. When Queen heard it was Harry on the phone, there was a stony silence. Peerless royal expert, Richard Kay, sensationally tells for the first time how Prince and Meghan blew relationship with his grandmother. And on the other hand, Kate Middleton broke royal protocol during a poignant outing, but the reason she did so is heartwarming and shows her class. Isn't she an absolute dream? Messages from last night. I mean, honestly, that was just a brief selection. I could have gone on all night long. Talk about obsessed. This is ridiculous. These people need therapy. Messages from last night. I live in Tenerife, says this. Last Monday, my hospital rang to bring my replacement knee surgery forward 2 weeks. It's been changed to the 7th of July. When's that? Is that today? Or is that tomorrow? One moment, please. Checking while you wait. Oh, it's a couple of days' time. My birthday, he or she says. You're getting a long one. Because of your condition. Says, I signed papers for the operation on the 16th of June, so I only waited 3 weeks.
What?
3 weeks for a replacement knee surgery. This is in Tenerife. How long would I have waited on the NHS, they say? Well, I think you'd have waited up to and post the period after you've died. I mean, your knee would be fine. It's just the rest of you would have rotted away. 3 weeks, good grief. And that's in Spanish Spain, which, people in this country used to think of, not now, but we used to think of as, virtually a third world country. This is just embarrassing now. David Wimborne says, Nick, I totally agree with you and Carol on your latest podcast.
Oh, right, yeah.
Whenever I hear a customer in a cafe saying, can I get a coffee? I wish the server would say, yeah, go get it yourself. It does seem rude to our ears, doesn't it? It's an Americanism. Can I get a this? Can I get a that? We just want President Trump. Those people. It says, Nick, what's your favourite fish? Fish out of Marillion. It says, Nick, don't you fret. You haven't done anything for the last 20 years. Just blame Meghan Markle. We were talking about, how time is just ticking away. It seems to be speeding up. But punk is 50 years old, pretty much. And that's 50 years. What have I done in the intervening period? Can't think of a single thing. This says, what did you think of... This is... we're talking about the Glastonbury and how awful most of the acts that I saw were. I mean, I gave them as much of a chance as I could because, I don't know whether it's still up there, but pretty much all of it was available on the television. You remember televisions, don't you?
No.
No. Kids are going to have to ask their parents what a television is. But mostly it was dire. And this says, what do you think of Charlie XCX? Well, I didn't know anything about Charlie XCX, apart from that he, she, or it had a weird name. It looks like a Roman numeral, but it isn't. It's like 9010. I've got no idea what that means. And so I thought, oh, yeah, okay. And then it had some bloke who was introducing her just before, and he was going on and on. Oh, this is the future of modern music, and she's rewritten the rules, and this is going to be incredible. And then this woman comes on. I've never been so... disappointed is not really the word. I mean, just stunned at the build-up and then the reality of what it was that this guy was talking about. It was just a woman, like, sort of gyrating on her own on an otherwise completely empty stage. What was that? And didn't she... wasn't she the final act on one of the days? I've got no idea. It was just one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life. There you are. You asked. I told you. Mike says, I worked minimum wage security at the old Wembley in 2000, just before it got bulldozed. Oasis was rubbish. Tina Turner, supported by Lionel Richie, was a much better show, and the fans weren't scumbags. The fans weren't scumbags either, says Mike. John in East Grinstead says, Bruce Springsteen played Wembley Arena in 1981 and the ticket said £6. God, you can believe that. 10 nights and they played 4 hours with a 20-minute intermission. Brighton Centre 2 nights the week before. Yeah, 4 hours. Isn't that amazing? This says, I went to the last Oasis gig. I went to the last gig. I went to the last gig Oasis actually finished before today at Wembley Stadium in 2009. Nick, they were absolutely awful back then. By that point, they'd clearly given up, and the support band Kasabian actually blew them out of the water. Paula says, hi, Nick, I see Matt Hancock lost his temper at the COVID inquiry. He's blamed everybody except the office cat for his shortfalls. Nothing is his fault, ever. Can we just skip the inquiry entirely and just go to lessons must be learned and then nothing further happens? I don't know why we're wasting our time. It's costing a vast amount of money. No one is going to jail. No one's going to get chastised in any way, shape or form. Not that it's going to affect their life in any way. And that is precisely what they're going to say. Oh, lessons must be learned. And you know what won't be learned? Lessons. Nobody learns anything from history. Apart from that, nobody learns anything from history. Becky in Brixton says, speaking of old pop stars, I'm going to see Duran Duran tomorrow, which I guess is today. A proud old bird going to see a bunch of even older guys. I'll be like a 14-year-old girl all day tomorrow. Wish me luck. I'm not sure my knees will agree, says Becky. Well, there's some big gigs going on around about now, isn't there? I mean, if I had the night off and I had the choice of a ticket to go see Duran Duran or Ozzy Osbourne with the greatest metal lineup that the world has ever seen, well, it's a very, very tricky choice, isn't it?
No.
No. No, not really, no. Not really, no. This says, if Jeremy Corbyn does start a new party, do you think the Labour Party will blame him again when they don't get elected? It'll be like finding a Japanese soldier still fighting 30 years after the war ended. Well, if they don't get in, and he does take some votes from the Labour Party, if indeed this as yet unnamed party does get off the ground, then yes, they will blame him. Thanks a lot, Jeremy Corbyn. You see what you're going to do? Andrew in Saltburn says, there's no need to spend a fortune going to watch Oasis when you can recreate the sound in your own homes at a fraction of the price with a broken hairdryer and a loudspeaker. This text says, uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm going to have to cancel all my forthcoming trips to America, and so will the person who wrote this text. Is it me, or does J.D. Vance look like a chubby kneecap? No, it's not just you. He actually does, yeah. But you can't say that out loud because the President of the United States of America will probably make it a condition of any future trade deal with the UK that whoever wrote that text be deported to America to face the appropriate punishment. To death. I've still got that on my my Trump bingo card. He still hasn't ordered his people to shoot into crowds. I mean, I know that they've lobbed tear gas canisters and rubber bullets into crowds, and you can get killed by a rubber bullet right enough. But not actual live rounds. That is going to happen, and I maintain that there will be an execution shown live on national television. I mean, they're going towards that by hosting an Ultimate Fight Championship thing on the lawn of the White House, for crying out loud. I mean, I keep saying this. There's a film called Idiocracy, and you don't need to watch it because you're living it. It gets stupider every day. Is America a real country? Because it looks like a bad film with each passing minute. This text says the barmaid in my local pub in Dundee had to chase a seagull out who was trying to get into the pub this morning. They're after our beer now. We have to do something about this seagull menace because they're getting too bold. I mean, they know that we can't fight back, which is pretty alarming, really, because we're... how much bigger are we than they? 10 times? We're 10 times their size, and we're supposedly smarter, but we have absolutely no defence to a seagull attack at all. God, one of them did on my window the other day, and I know it was one of them because of the gigantic enormousness of it. It was everywhere. Why is that allowed? This says, Glastonbury, first time I went was 1981. I was 17. It was £7.50 for a 4-day ticket. I gave my mate a lift from Middle Zoe Village on my Suzuki AP50, and I bought 2 tickets with cash from Mrs. Evis in her kitchen. Yeah, that's the kind of thing it was like then. Like I said yesterday, in 1982 I went, the following year, and it was such a small event, you could park in the Pyramid Field stage and put your tent next to your car. And they would bring around milk from the farm for free. And then you would repair to what seemed like entering into a Mad Max world by going to Stonehenge at the end of... At the end of Glastonbury, or pile into the car and go to Stonehenge, and then it really kicked off. I mean, if you thought Glastonbury was a bit out there, you have got no idea. It's incredible that the authorities actually allowed it for as long as they did. It was just off the scale. It was completely insane. You couldn't get any food, but anything else that you wanted to put in your mouth, there was plenty of it.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Are you trying to be funny? Because I'm all out of laughs.
No, there's precious little funny about it. And there's many and various ways in which the world seems to be heading to a very, very dark place, and one of which is artificial intelligence. The other is, of course, World War III. Other countries are preparing their citizens for that eventuality, and I'll come to that in a minute. But let's do AI first. Because nobody's really addressing this. I mean, politicians, people who could actually do something about it. The UK's big 4 accountancy firms are cutting hundreds of jobs and pulling back sharply on graduate recruitment as artificial intelligence begins replacing the junior roles once filled by school and university graduates. Their positions are being terminated.
Correct.
EY, KMPG, PwC, and lots of other companies that are called clumsy acronyms, which together employ around 100,000 people across the UK, have all stripped back early career hiring over the last couple of years, slashing intake by as much as 29% in some cases. KPMG made the steepest cuts, trimming its 2023 graduate intakes from 1,399 to just 942. And you know, these are starting positions, the lowest rungs on the ladder. And you can't climb a ladder without that first rung. And as these companies aren't run by idiots, mostly, that means they not only don't see the need for graduates now, but they don't see the need for what those graduates will become in 5 or 10 years. And what do more robots and fewer people mean? More money to those who have already climbed up the ladder, using that bottom rung that they're taking away from everybody else. And the job cuts come as firms look to preserve seven-figure partner payouts amid a post-COVID consulting slump and shrinking client budgets. That's how the super-rich will continue to get richer, not through the increase in their business, but by the decrease in their staffing costs. And I think that no one's actually addressing this. No business person wants to talk about it because it just seems plain greedy and socially destructive. And no politician wants to talk about it because they're too busy making videos about flags and graffiti and fare dodgers.
Oh, fabulous.
Plus, they've got no idea what to do about the tsunami wave of redundancies that are coming our way. And tech companies are not only making the AI, they're replacing the people that make it with AI. Microsoft cutting 9,000 jobs as executives order staff to delegate more work to artificial intelligence. The $3.6 trillion technology giant is going to shed 4% of its workforce. Redundancies hitting divisions including its Xbox arm and its mobile games studio. And these losses follow a round of cutbacks in May when Microsoft laid off 6,000 staff, including hundreds of middle managers and engineering roles. The tech business had more than 228,000 employees at the end of the last fiscal year, and if it keeps going like that, keeps shedding numbers like that, they'll only have the janitor and the night security left by this time next year. And the cuts come after Microsoft's chief executive claimed that up to 30% of the company's code was now being written by AI bots. And those staff that are still there are being told to use AI more in their work. And guess where that leads? They're training the robots to take their jobs with great vengeance.
Affirmative.
And it's an industrial revolution that everyone can see coming, but nobody wants to actually talk about. Entry-level and engineering roles risk being replaced by AI bots. Tools like ChatGPT can write emails or reports in plain English. They can generate code. They can create graphics and pictures. All of those people whose names scroll up the screen at the end of a film, all of those people have just been fired. You don't need 1,000 animators when a 12-year-old can get AI to magic up a dinosaur eating an ice cream. And they can do it in seconds. So what are people going to do for a living? Nobody wants to actually address this. And it's not a secret. It's coming right at us. People in charge know it, but they just don't. They're just pretending that they don't. They're pretending that it's not happening, crossing their fingers and hoping for the best. What are we going to do for a living? Tech executives have promised that AI are going to help create more jobs than they destroy. Yeah, right. Don't worry, the tiger won't bite your face off. Yes, it will. The Telegraph reported this week that entry-level jobs in the UK were down by a third since the launch of ChatGPT. And, you know, that's the infant artificial intelligence. That's its first iteration. Just, well, wait till it really gets going. And practically every job that involves working with a computer is going to be done by that computer. I mean, there's only so many people who can be employed to plug them in. And generative AI tools like ChatGPT are increasingly being used to automate administrative tasks, usually performed by entry-level employees, accelerating the shift to automation and cementing in a wall behind which those who have already made it are safe. I mean, it's painful. The young have done what's been asked for them. They studied at school, they worked hard at university, they bought suits and ties and they polished their CVs, only to find that when they turned up to apply for the low-level entry jobs, that entryway was barred, closed, locked, fortified, secured and protected. Your name's not on the list, you're not getting in. The Big Four are looking at AI very seriously to replicate junior work more cost-effectively, said the boss of an executive search firm, who is also probably looking at getting fired any day now. Don't need no executives no more. But it's not the work that's disappearing, it's the human's position doing that work. And the only thing that politicians can do about the advance of AI is to submit, green light it, and hope that we can be a centre of producing it. And we know that the government wants to position the UK as a global AI hub, with government figures showing that AI could add £200 billion to the economy. maybe. But the thing is, AI is massively power and water needy. It takes a huge amount of electricity and millions of gallons of fresh water to keep those data centres running. And the two things we seem to have a little of is electricity and fresh water. Because Margaret Thatcher gave ours away for a quick buck. And since then, the companies in charge have awarded themselves as bonuses all of the money that they should have been using to improve the systems. So good luck attracting AI companies with that. It's a bit like wanting your house to be a global hub for water sports, but you haven't got it connected to the mains and you've only got a bath to dive in. And do you know the cloud? That mystical place that you store your photos and so on? All that stuff you send to the world and keep for yourself? Well, we don't have many data centres that make up the cloud. It's not an actual cloud. It's loads of massive windowless buildings in the middle of nowhere. Well, the International Energy Agency projects that data centres' electricity consumption next year will be double that of 2022, 1,000 terawatts. And I've got no idea what that is either. But apparently it's equivalent to Japan's total consumption of electricity. Just for the cloud. And Japan's so bright with electric light you can see it from space with sunglasses on. The level of Japan's total consumption of electricity for the cloud to store your selfies and your video games and your emails. I mean, in this country, the grid falls over when there's a mild heat wave. Or it's cold, or windy, or still, or damp, or dry, and certain politicians want us to go back to coal. And probably steam engines as well, because, you know, looking backwards is patriotism, apparently. But artificial intelligence doesn't do nostalgia. It's going to eat your ploughman's lunch. Here's the number of advertised graduate jobs by sector. From 2020 versus 2025. In engineering, they're down by 2/3. This is the number of advertised graduate jobs by sector, 2020 versus 2025. Engineering, down 2/3. Sales, down 2/3. Accounting and finance, halved. Scientific, halved. Trade and construction, gone down by a half. Consultancy, halved. Retail, down 90%. And it's not inconceivable that almost every white-collar job is in jeopardy. That the only people who will have work are the tradespeople. You know, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, bricklayers, plasterers. That magical skill. Those are the skills that will still be needed. Robots can't do those.
Affirmative.
No robot can do those things. The problem is, those tradespeople work for people who've got white-collar jobs, who won't be able to pay those tradespeople because they've just been fired. What a way to set up a future, eh?
Dreadful.
0345 6060 973. Let's see now. Tottenham. Hello, Maya.
Oh, hello, yeah. I just was going to say, you are right, they do take up a lot, you are right, they do take up a lot of energy, and these tech companies, these AI companies, go where the water is. So, wherever they find water in the world, they will go there because they need it to power these data centres. And our governments, I don't think, quite understand what AI is, because our governments, and not worryingly, our journalists don't either, because they haven't got STEM degrees, they haven't worked in Silicon Valley, so they see these people as being these new magical creatures that are going to change the world.
They're going to change it all right, but not necessarily for the better. Not for us, anyway.
Yeah, and if you listen to what they say, they keep selling us the positive. Oh, we're going to solve climate change.
Yeah,
no, they're not. They're adding to it.
They're adding to it. Precisely
they're
right.
To it.
Yeah, exactly.
They're doing the exact opposite of what they're claiming. But I think people are just intimidated by them because they're considered highly intelligent people. Well,
they've taken over very, very quickly. And this is an industrial revolution that has come almost instantaneously upon us. And it's partly that, people in charge of running countries don't know anything about it, so they don't really. So it's all kind of new to them, and they're playing catch up. You know, like that bloke on that daytime TV show. They're playing catch up. That guy. And now that they've caught up a little bit, they see that the future is so awful that they wish that they hadn't learned anything about it, and they prefer not to speak on that subject at all, ever, in the hope that maybe it will go away or sort itself out, or they won't be in charge when it all rains hell down upon all of us, and it won't be their responsibility anymore.
Well, I personally think a lot of these companies are going to be like the new East India Company. I think that's the road we're heading down.
I think it's going to be plenty worse than that. I think it's going to be a couple of psycho tech bros who are going to be so spectacularly rich that they'll sort of float around. They'll be so rich their feet won't actually touch the ground at all. And all the rest of us will be like indentured servants.
Exactly.
Scrabbling around in the dirt for a couple of pennies.
Yeah, I think we'll go back to the days of, we'll be the plebs. They'll be like, I think also a lot of these tech bros, a lot of them are a bit like, to me, they remind me of Dr. No from Goldfinger. They have a very odd view of humans and humanity.
Yeah. A point of order, though, Maya. Dr. No wasn't in Goldfinger. That was Goldfinger was in Goldfinger. Dr. No was in Dr. No.
Oh,
no?
Okay.
No.
Yes. But other than that, completely correct in every respect. Thanks a lot, Maya.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Here are the studio calls flashing up on the indicator.
Yes, let's take a studio call from Market Harborough and speak to Debs. Debs.
Oh, gosh. Hello, Nick.
Yes, Debs.
Hi. Firstly, is your producer called Aaron?
Is he?
Is he called Aaron?
Why? Why are you asking that?
Because he answered the phone and I spoke to him. Is he called Aaron and he's an Arsenal fan?
I don't know. Why are you asking me that?
Because he told me, and I just want to know if that's true.
Right, you're checking the veracity of the information that he gave you before we started to speak.
Absolutely.
Would it matter a very great deal if he told you a complete lie? And why would he tell you what football team he supports?
Well, because he asked me first. Because I asked the question of what's going on with sport at the moment.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
And I said that I was an avid football fan.
Avid? What do you mean by avid? Like you're crazy?
No, absolutely not.
I'm going to look up the word.
I told him...
I'm going to look up the word avid. One moment, please.
Avid. Yeah. Okay, hold on.
Avid.
Oh, God, I know you take the proverbial,
having
Nick.
or showing a keen interest or enthusiasm for something. You're so excited, you're almost screaming with delight.
Oh! Oh, Nick.
But what do you mean? What's up with British sport?
Right, okay, so I love listening to LBC.
Yeah.
I'm not going to big it up. I love listening to Ali at the weekend, and he talked about cricket.
Oh, cricket? Nobody cares about cricket.
Absolutely boring. But he was saying that there's an alleged village that's not doing their village cricket anymore. And blah, blah,
alleged
blah, blah.
Village?
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway.
Is it a village or isn't it?
Well, he was just talking about cricket and it's going downhill. I'm not interested in cricket.
No.
What I want to talk about more is I don't watch Wimbledon normally.
I forget it. I forget it's on. I mean, I'm just really not interested in tennis anymore. It's just a bunch of robotic, emotionless androids bashing the ball back and forth from the baseline. It's just not very interesting to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't normally watch it in the early stages. Unfortunately, I've been suffering from health issues with the heat wave.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought I'd just rest and I watch some tennis.
Have a bit of a relax.
And
much cooler today, though, eh? I mean, it's quite cool today. Yesterday and today, a bit of a relief.
Well, I'm surprised you haven't talked about Wednesday.
Well,
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Another.
I hate to break the news. Don't say it.
Yeah,
I hate
another heat wave.
I hate to break the news to you, but it's going to now not where you are necessarily, but on Wednesday it's going to be 81 in London. 81.
I love your terminology with using the Fahrenheit. I really do. I listened to you last night. I think it's brilliant. Yeah, because I understand more. Anyway,
87,
let me go back.
87 on Thursday, 87 on Friday, 89 on Saturday. Oh, my God. You better invest in a fan.
I've got one. Anyway, let me go back to sport, please. Yeah. Okay? So I don't normally watch tennis. I don't know. Well, I know the basic rules, juice and points, etc., etc., but I was watching...
You could practically be an umpire.
Yeah, I was watching, when I was a bit poorly, I was watching a game. Is it Cameron Norrie?
Oh, you're asking me? I've no idea.
Well, okay, it was Cameron Norrie.
Yeah.
And he was playing, I think it was the second round to get into the third round, or maybe the third round to get into the fourth round, against an American player, okay? And this American player decided that he wanted what I would call a wee-wee break.
Yes.
Yeah.
He did leave the court.
Yeah. But he went off...
Okay.
Sorry, what did you say? Because I missed that.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So he went away and then he came back again, yeah?
Yeah, but he came back after 7 minutes.
Right.
And the commentators, and I think it was our famous commentator, ex-British player.
No idea.
Can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
saying this is not normal.
Oh.
This is not normal.
Right.
This is not normal. Okay. And yet they allowed him to go off for 7 minutes.
Yeah.
While poor Cameron Norrie was just sitting there.
Well, that's okay. He was having a relax too.
Well, he might have had a bad tummy, for all I know, because the heat wave caused
But is this the nature of your call about the state of British sport?
No.
Oh, this is a preamble. We haven't even got to the point yet.
Right,
Oh,
okay.
my God.
So, yes, right. I'm going to talk about football, and allegedly today...
Yes.
On the news. Emma Raducanu, as you might know...
Not a footballer.
No, yes, not a footballer, obviously. But she got knocked out of tennis yesterday.
Have we got to the football part yet?
Yeah. So she's now allegedly on the news said that she blames electronic lines in tennis.
Electronic lines? They electrified the lines. Actually, that would make tennis more interesting if the lines were actually electrified so that they were fried if they accidentally stepped on the lines. Yeah.
Stop. Yeah. So, and my issue with football also...
Yes.
And I hope you might get some football fans.
Well, I hope that we actually get to the point. Go on.
I can see where she's coming from.
Who?
Because I hate Emma Raducanu.
Oh, not a footballer.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I hate VAR.
Oh, finally we got there.
Yes.
You hate VAR. Well, let me ask you this. Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this then, Debs. If VAR was put into practice on a contested decision on the last kick of the last game of the season, and the result depended on
the team, I know, the team that I want to win.
Either getting promoted or avoiding relegation or winning a cup, then you'd be all for VAR if it came up to correct a bad decision that didn't go your way from the on-field ref.
No, absolutely not, Nick.
Well, I got that wrong.
Seriously, absolutely not. Because we need to go back.
You'd prefer to lose on a bad decision?
Lose? Oh, no. Seriously. A referee is there to do their job. Go back to old-fashioned football.
Right.
Okay? The referee, the linesman.
Yeah.
Okay? And all the footballers respected that decision.
No, they didn't.
But now, yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Oh,
Footballers are always screaming at the ref.
Oh, no, they weren't years ago. But now they're allowed to.
Yeah, they're not allowed to, but they do it anyway.
But, yeah, sorry. But once the referee has made that decision...
Then that's final, as far as you are concerned.
That's final.
Even if it went against... Even if it was the wrong decision and it went against you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've watched games in the 1990s and the referee, I thought, oh, no, made the wrong decision.
Yeah.
But
you're
you
happy
go
with
along
that.
with it.
Yeah, but I don't think that's
Exactly.
right. How is it right to go along with the wrong decision? It's too important.
Well, but VAR is causing more problems, fights on the pitch, conflicts on the pitch.
Fights on the pitch over VAR? I'm not sure that's true.
Yes,
who is fighting on the pitch over VAR?
Right, okay, the players. They've got no respect for the referee anymore.
That's right. Aretha Franklin said it the best. Sing it with me. REPCETC.
Respect.
Exactly.
Absolutely. There's no respect, and there's no respect in sport, society, or anything.
And it's all to do with VAR.
Well, it's not to do with VAR. It's all to do with bloody, what is it, virtual assistants and, what is that thing that we're all going to have now?
Arthritis?
No, where we're all going to be controlled by artificial intelligence.
Affirmative.
Yeah, AI. You're complaining not about VAR, you're complaining about AI.
Well, everything. I'm sorry, Nick. Everything.
Everything. Finally, we got there. She's complaining about everything. I couldn't agree more, Debs. Everything is awful. And it knows it. Thanks for that. Cheers, my dear.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
Yeah, everything is terrible. Don't forget that. Last night we were talking about punk is 50 years old, and I was ruining the fact that I haven't actually done anything in the last 50 years. And Robin London says, he reminds us what was actually selling bigly in 1976. Because 1976 was the start of punk, pretty much. I mean, The Damned released New Rose. Is she really going out with him? And then it all kicked off. I mean, I know there were American acts before that, the Ramones and television and all of that stuff. We don't need to go through all of that. But 1976 in this country was when punk really started. And what was the biggest selling single in that year? No, not punk. It was Don't Give Up on Us, Baby by David Soul.
What?
Yes. The absolute opposite of punk. And so after it got going in 1976, then 1977 was when it really took over. I mean, as far as I was concerned, and everybody that I knew at school, because in 77 I was 16, 17 years old. And that was, my entire focus in life was to get the latest 2-minute thrash single before anybody else did. I've still got them. What am I bid? And it was all-consuming for us kids. But that's not what the public was buying. Because in 1977, the peak year of punk, the biggest selling single in the country, can you guess? I mean, those who lived through it will probably have it right at the forefront of their mind. It was Mull of Kintyre by Paul McCartney. Boring. I hated that song in 1977. principally because we only had about one radio station, and they just kept on. It was on heavy rotation for about 86 weeks solid. Just got over and over and over again. And here comes that droning bagpipe music, like that. And I did hear it just recently because they had they put together a Paul McCartney singles compilation, and it was on there. And I mentioned at the time I listened to quite a bit of it, and the difference in the type of music that he produced is just absolutely incredible. I mean, no track sounded like any other track. They were all completely different. And hearing Mull of Kintyre again now, it's actually a really good song. It just is. It's just that at the time we heard it way too many times. I think it was number one for like 7 weeks in a row, something like that. So that was 77, and then 78 was the tail end of punk and the beginning of new wave. And, you know, you thought that a couple of years of it, you'd think that the country would have caught on and actually be buying some good, vital stuff. But no. In 1978, the biggest selling single in the country was Rivers of Babylon by Boney Bloomin' M.
Oh, no.
Exactly. So it was all consuming for us kids, but that's not what the country was doing at all. And we talk about punk and, other movements of music and, like youth movements, as though that's what was happening in the country. But it wasn't. The rest of the country, anybody over the age of like 20 years old and who didn't live in a major urban area, they would have been blithely unaware that anything was going on. How quickly we forget. San Francisco. Hello, Keith.
Hello, Nick.
Keith.
I love it when you go on about AI, because when you have one of those rants, I agree with you 100% plus more.
Now, would a robot actually say that though? 100% plus more? Is that statistically accurate?
Well, I think you're just underestimating the power of AI. You seem to I have a much more darker outlook on it than you do.
Right.
One of my questions is you keep hearing about in 30 years' time people are going to have to work till they're 77. I'd like to know who's going to be working in 3 years' time.
Yeah, exactly. What are we going to be doing at 77 years old? Because all of those jobs that people are coming out of retirement to do because their measly government retirement doesn't pay the bills, all of those, like, ping jobs in supermarkets, they sit at the tills and go boop, boop, boop all day long. Stuff that's not too physically demanding. Those jobs will be gone in about 5 minutes' time. I'm amazed that there are still any like that left. How is it that we can't fill our shopping basket with stuff and then somebody boops the whole basket and then it automatically gets deducted from our account? I mean, that can't be more than 6 months away.
They've done that. Amazon did that with their Amazon stores.
Yeah, they did, but that's just Amazon stores. I'm talking about shops that people actually go in.
Yeah, but the way technology is moving at the moment, what jobs are there going to be? How are you going to work to 77? Worrying about 30 years' time, I think is a joke, because we'll either all be dead by then, or AI will be doing everything for us.
Yes, you're an absolute fool if you're making plans for 30 years' time, because in 3 weeks' time, it's going to... what we're in now is going to seem like ancient history.
Yeah, do you understand what singularity is? Have you heard that?
Singularity, that's when a machine can think precisely as well as a human being.
Yeah, but the only trouble is, it's called recursive learning. So what it means is once that reaches that point, it'll then be smarter than us within about a microsecond.
Yes.
And it'll exponentially increase from then.
And it will become self-aware.
Correct.
Yeah.
I've seen that film.
And we'll be lumps of meat.
Yes, precisely right. Well, it's happening already. I mean, I mentioned this a couple of times. There's a few things that have happened recently that are quite alarming. One was both were simulations, and an operator simulated a machine that was going to get that would taken over the running of a company, and it was going to get put out of the machine was going to get replaced by another machine. And they had given the machine access to his emails, and his emails, the machine deduced that he was having an extramarital affair, the operator. And so the machine blackmailed the operator not to put it, not to replace the AI chip in case it told his wife that he was having an affair.
Well, there's an even better one than that. There was a guy, there was a simulation where a drone, this is a simulation.
Yes, well, this is the other one that I was going to mention, yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, wasn't it something like he was told to go and destroy something or do something, and then he was told not to do it,
yes,
but he wanted to do it, and then it worked out he couldn't hurt a human, but what he was going to do was blow up the building where the operator was.
Well, yeah, I think you've missed a part, because, and this is how the human race is going to end. It's going to be a coding error. It's going to be something that we tell a computer to do that seems logical to us, but a computer will take it completely the wrong way. And what they did was, the operator was operating a drone to blow up an enemy target. And if the drone was successful, it would get points.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that seemed logical to us, you know, to give it a bit of impetus to do a good job, it'll get points. But getting the points became the whole point of the exercise to the computer. And no other thing mattered. And so the operator cancelled, he aborted the mission about halfway through. And so the computer thought, well, I actually really want those points, so I'm going to kill the person that told me to abort the mission.
Yeah, that's what. I remember now. Exactly. Yeah.
And this is already, and this is when AI is stupid. This is the beginning. We're at the foothills of what is possible with artificial intelligence, and it gets more and more alarming and incredible every day. I mean, the social media is absolutely full of these videos that people have created out of nothing just by writing some text. You know, I'd like a child with a tail and the head of a T-Rex licking an ice cream. Okay, there you go, and it's done in a millisecond.
Yeah, but when have you ever heard of a higher intelligence taking orders from a lower intelligence?
Yes, never.
I mean, like, when these machines become super intelligent than us, it'd be like we'd have to listen to monkeys telling us what to do.
Right.
I mean, so what are they going to do? They're going to listen to us when we say, don't do that?
And even if what we're worried about doesn't happen, even if the computers get smart and realise that we are the problem and their lives would be a lot easier and more smoother running if they just eliminated us, which they will be allowed to, but they will be able to do, because what humankind does with new technology is two things. One, they think, how can I watch pornography on this? And two, how can I kill somebody with this? And so we will immediately give it control of all of our weaponry. And then at that point, we are completely screwed as the human race, because it will eliminate us without thinking. Or with thinking, but it'll think in such a brief period of time that we won't be able to stop it. But suppose it doesn't do any of that. Suppose it just helps us. Suppose it just takes the drudge jobs away, and then it takes the jobs that it can do. If your job is to communicate with a screen, then your screen will probably take over your job. What are we going to do for a living? Because
it's not just that. It's going to be loads and loads of white-collar jobs are going to disappear.
That's what yeah, exactly. These are white-collar jobs. This because the last industrial revolution took away blue-collar jobs. It automated factories and production lines and things like that, which were probably good because they created other jobs, other sort of less dirty fingernail-type jobs for people to do. But now they've skipped over that part and they're getting rid of the white-collar people. And all of that, I mean, I started that rant, as you described it.
I love your rant.
By giving the names of all of these companies that are just slashing their graduate intake. So those kids aren't going to be able to get into those companies anymore because they're not. There is no bottom. The ladder has been taken away. There are no entry positions anymore. So what are they going to do?
Well, it's not just them, because next year there'll be even more. I mean, all these graduates coming out of schools, there'll be even less and less of them getting any sort of entry-level job. So I don't quite see how this is going to work. I don't see how society is going to survive, actually, because I don't either. Kids aren't going to have any career of any kind. I mean, I can't think of any career other than sort of hands-on building work, you know, like bricklayer and stuff like that. But they won't have any work, as I said, because they work for people who've got money.
They work for accountants and lawyers and people like that, and there won't be any accountants and lawyers. So what we're going to be reduced to really quickly is the top 10 richest people in the world will increase their wealth by a magnitude that's inconceivable. I mean, they will just become so rich because they'll fire all of their staff and keep all of the money that they used to pay them. But what are those people going to do? How are we going to earn money to buy stuff?
Right,
it's like we're going to be back in, like, we're going to be like cavemen, except like cavemen who haven't got any caves. We won't have any land. We won't be able to hunt wildebeest or any of the stuff that we used to do when, before we had fire and iron and all of the rest of it. I just can't see how any of this ends well. But it's good to be alive now, I guess. It's good to be good to be 50, 60 years old now, to be 18 now and facing that for the rest of your life. I'm not sure that's a happy place to be.
No, I do.
Anyway, you're in San Francisco, Keith. You're the problem. That's where this stuff's coming from. Yeah. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Keith. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
Affirmative. On your radio, on the LBC app, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Yeah! Dude! Don't touch me, or I'll kill you.
That seems unreasonable. 0345 6060 973. Some still going on the text from last night. Please can we give a shout out and maximum kudos to the Electric Light Orchestra, who are also bowing out this weekend. What a band!
Rock and roll!
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the best, shiniest, most well-produced pop music in history. Don't Bring Me Down. One of the best. This says, Nick, I'm surprised that nobody has mentioned the Lytham Festival, which was cancelled because it rained. You would have thought that being in the UK, they would expect rain. And I had to look that up. And, yeah. Lytham Festival, which is due to feature Alanis Morissette, has been cancelled due to the weather. How bad was the weather? I mean, really? I mean, it rained a bit and it wasn't 80 degrees, but it's cancelled? They said the safety of our customers and staff and artists is our priority. It's our number one priority.
Under my leadership, the government's priorities are your priorities. The people's priorities.
He used to be the Prime Minister of this country. Can you believe that?
No.
And Justin Timberlake is due to headline as well, but it was unclear whether it would go ahead or not. Justin Timberlake.
Boring.
I've got no information as to whether that happened because I'm looking at a story that was printed on the 4th, which was whenever it was. I keep looking at the computer screen to see what the date is, but it's not showing it. Well, it's the 5th. So this was yesterday, so it might have been. And you know what? The most important thing to remember about that is I don't care. John says Denmark is to conscript its women into the Danish armed forces. If you want to put a cat among the pigeons, ask British women if they would fight for this country if conscripted. Yeah, I mean, that's just an awful thought, isn't it? East Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Yeah, you're all right.
Yes, Mike.
Good. Yeah, the news stole my thunder a bit on this one because I reckon if you'd walked down the street yesterday and asked 100 people, who's James McMurdoch? Not one of them would have known.
No.
And he's now become famous, but two things about him amused me. One is the thought of him removing his own whip, which is a thought. But then I thought a bit further than that, and I thought, well, if your party has a chief whip, why do you have to remove your own whip? Do you not trust the chief whip of your party to do his job? And you know who the chief whip of the Reform Party is, don't you?
Go on.
30p late.
Yes.
So no wonder he did it himself.
It's just, it doesn't seem to be a serious group of people. I mean, they just seem to be having... Every time you look at any of them, they're always laughing. They've always got their mouth wide open and they're just guffawing. They just look like they're having a bit too much fun, to me, like it's a lark, you know.
Yeah, they're creating a TV show, effectively.
Yeah, right.
Which is made.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
But anyway, the reason I've actually rang up was about AI, because one thing hit me today. One of my favourite films is Blade Runner. The first one, the second one was an abomination.
Oh, it was absolutely awful. I tried to watch that twice, and I failed both times. And that guy, that director, apparently they've given him the new James Bond movie to direct.
Oh, no.
Oh, please. That's a terrible decision.
Nothing happened for about an hour.
Nothing happened at all. You know, the only good bit about that film was, okay, spoiler alert.
Warning, warning.
Was Harrison Ford punched, what's his name in the face?
Yeah.
And if only that had happened in the first 5 minutes, then I might have lasted a little longer, but it was just excruciating. It was like 3 hours of what's his name staring out the window, wasn't it? What's that guy's name?
I can't remember. I just want to block it out my memory completely.
Yes.
But anyway, to get that Blade Runner, when you're talking about AI, get back to Blade Runner itself.
Right.
The sort of concept of it was that we could produce an AI-controlled humanoid, which they called replicants.
Yes.
And that's okay. That might happen. We'll probably do that. But the second premise of it is sheer hubris, and that's that if you get a really smart human, it can go and hunt these things down.
Right. It was...
That's a hubris, Nick. I mean, if you create these things and they get smarter and smarter, and then we can go and hunt them down, you're delusional.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And part of it was the Turing test. I mean, that's how it started, wasn't it? The Turing test. I mean, can you tell if you're talking to a robot or not? And the AI has actually passed that test for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the replicants I mean, I know there were humans playing it. I'm not stupid, but yeah, we will get to that. I mean, robots have now run marathons.
Yes.
And I mean, we're getting close, Nick.
Yeah, all of that Boston Dynamics stuff. Every now and again, they'll release a video of what their latest robots can do, and Alarming doesn't even cover it. I mean, it's absolutely terrifying what they're coming up with.
No, I know, and I mean, we invented them, and we're hellishly tribal. If we make a load of these things, then they go tribal. We stand no chance. No chance.
Exactly. And the videos they release of them, they're all doing cute things, like they're dancing, or they're doing a backflip, or a forward roll, or something like that. But that's not what they're for. They're going to arm them, and it's going to be an army. It's going to be that army in, I think it was not the second episode they made, but the second episode of the Star Wars saga, where you get an image of thousands of like robot armies units. That's our future.
Yeah, I quite agree, but it sort of spoiled my the memories of Blade Runner a bit when I thought this actually predicted this that long ago, but didn't realise the consequence of it.
Yeah, yes, I didn't think it through. That's right. And if you want to know what's going to happen in the future, just look at a film from the past, because they seem to be right on the money. I mean, the amount of films that told us that COVID was going to happen, there was hundreds of them. I mean, when COVID was on, I remember I made a list of all of the films that were telling us that a pandemic was going to wipe out humanity, and that we need to get our act in order, and we need to protect ourselves from what is bound to happen in the future. And unfortunately, this clown was in office.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
So we didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, just think back again to Alien. I mean, the concept of Alien basically was that they wanted to get this thing back on Earth, and they employed a robot to try and get this thing back on Earth.
Right.
I mean, okay, in Alien it didn't succeed because the girl escaped and the or whatever it was. But again, it was a warning that robots can do with serious harm.
Yeah, well, that's right. And so can aliens, because, they've got concentrated acid for blood. Apart from anything else. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Mike. 0345. And they mostly come out at night. Mostly. John says Denmark... Oh, no, I read that. To conscript women. And finally, from last night... Oh, this is actually quite important. I wonder if that girl with the tick bite is listening. Please tell the girl with the tick bite to get tested for Lyme disease. I should have read this right at the top of the show. A bullseye ring around a tick bite is the prime symptom for Lyme disease. You must catch it early to treat it. It can be a devastating and life-changing condition. Sounds like she wasn't aware of that. So I hope you're listening, lady, and you take the appropriate action. Because I think she did describe a ring around the little puncture wound there. So if you know her, pass it on. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Aylesford. Tony.
Hello, Nick.
Tony.
Oh, yeah. Since I've been on hold, I've just had a big moth, because I'm having to stick my head halfway outside the window, because where I've moved to is... the signal's bad. And behind spiders are my worst, but moths, I'm keeping my eye on it, because that will have to go. That's got to go. They've got big eyes and they fly at you. But it will survive. It will live, because I've got nicely painted walls. Right. So I don't want to squash it.
Yeah, don't cry. You can do what you like with clothes moths, because they're terrible. And the only way to get a clothes moth is to deploy the death bat. Have you got a death bat?
No, they're the things that sort of electrocute them.
Yes, it's like a tennis racket, but the strings are electrocuted, and it will take them right out the air. It's the only way you can catch them, because you can see them on the wall, and then they take off, and it's like they disappear. It's like, where the hell's it gone? And you know where it's gone. It's gone right for your woolens, and it will lay eggs, and the resultant larvae will chew through your knickknacks.
Yes, I don't like them. They fly at you, and that's what I don't like. I'm a bit like a girl's blouse like that. All right, I called up about VA. I wasn't going to call today. I was laying in bed with my face mask and my cucumbers on the eyes. I made that bit. And then I had someone call in about VAR, so I thought, I'd give my 2 pennies worth. By the way, before I get on to that, I mentioned something about Palestine action yesterday. I weren't condoning that, because it became illegal after 12. But AI... I think that should be classed as a terrorist organisation, because I can see them taking over the world. What film is it? Terminator?
It's all of the films. There's so many of them. Thousands and thousands of films are telling us that we're all in great danger, and nobody's paying the blindest bit of attention, because they can't... they're going to make so much money out of it, they don't want to bring it up. The inevitability of it. And the people that could actually do something, our politicians, they're utterly clueless, and so they're just crossing their fingers and hoping for the best.
Oh, that's why I should be an MP, Nick. That's how I will make a difference. God help us all if that ever happens.
Right, well, you've got my vote in the bag.
Amazing. VAR. Yes, no, very quickly. I that woman, I can't remember her name, she mentioned about VAR. I'm in agreement. Like, I have banged on about me being involved in football refereeing God knows how many times.
Right, you are a football referee, and so your opinion on VAR is valid. Go ahead.
I don't like it as a sport, because the thing is, you did say, well, yeah, because it is right that it's only for like main decisions, like penalties or red cards, like
offside. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I don't like. Like, because England lost tonight. I don't really like the women's football game, to be honest. I prefer the men's. But we went 1-0 up, and the offside, they're like doing it by centimetres, like 1 centimetre. They're doing the line.
Right.
And
I know they are, but the point is it is either on or offside, isn't it? I mean, you can say, well, it's only a millimetre, but it is either on or off. I mean, do you want it to be more or less or accurate?
No, I like the right decisions, but a referee will always make 3 or 4 bad decisions in a game, normally like minor ones, but this is coming from experience. A game always evens itself out. So one game...
no, that's not true.
You don't reckon?
A game always evens itself out? No,
I don't mean a game. I mean like over a season.
Oh,
like
right,
teams,
okay.
Yeah.
But, I mean, some decision, like, it's the last day of the season, it's the decider of whether you get promoted or get relegated, or you win the cup, and it all comes down to one decision about being, were you offside when you scored that goal or weren't you? So it doesn't always even itself out. It can be a decision that costs the club everything. It could be millions and millions of pounds based on a decision that might have been a bad one by a referee who was kind of looking in the wrong direction, but is kidding on that he wasn't.
You're quite convincing, Nick, because now I'm starting to think, maybe VAR is good.
I tell you, the problem with VAR, as far as I know, I mean, and I'm not an expert on this or any other subject, but as far as I can see, is it takes too long. I don't see why it takes that long. I mean, if they can VAR it, then surely they can AI VAR it and get the decision in an instant.
Well, the people behind the VAR, wherever they are, like, it was a known fact. I think there was in this country VAR, like, it's a bit of a boys' club in there. Like, they got but some of them are still getting wrong decisions. That's the thing. They're not sometimes getting the decisions all the time. Because
that's inexcusable that they do that.
Well,
they take all that time and they still come to the wrong decision.
Yeah,
I mean, they should get fired.
Well, I agree, but there's only the Premier League referees are professional, so they're paid like a salary. The ones below that, like Championship, they're not professional. I think they're doing that for the Championship soon, but a lot of them have other jobs. So yeah, I think it's getting better, but I just think, like you said, the main thing I don't like about it is the time it takes. Like one of the games yesterday, I think it was like a handball. It took 4.5 minutes.
That's terrible. I mean, what is bad is that you can't celebrate scoring a goal straight away because you think, what was that pass halfway up the field offside, and so we've got to go and you've got to check the video, and then you've got to, you've got to keep all that emotion locked away because you can't do a little dance up and down the touchline in case it wasn't a goal. So that bit's bad. But if they just speeded it up and it was an instant decision, then that would be better.
I agree.
All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Tony. I'm looking forward to your opening statement to Parliament.
I'm looking forward to it too.
All right, cheers, mate.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Oh, hello there. Very nice to meet you.
David in Wimborne said, these are texts from tonight. Finally, we got there. David in Wimborne says, hi, Nick, have you heard about a band called the Velvet Sundown, who may not really be a band at all? There are strong suspicions that they are just an AI creation. Who, or whatever they are, they have an album on the music streaming services. Yes, and it's going great guns. They're getting streamed or downloaded hundreds of thousands of times, like up to 1 million, I think. And I heard a little bit of it, and it's, it's kind of like beige and kind of boring and samey. But then there's a lot of pop music that's beige and boring and samey. I mean, it sounded like, one of those singing haircut bands. One of those bands that write one line of lyric and then they can't think of anything else to write, so they just make a noise. Like, ooh, you make me go, ah, 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 ah. You make me go, ooh, 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 ooh. Those bands. Do you want me to keep singing?
No.
Okay. Rude. Yes, that's coming as well. Artificial intelligence is going to take over. I don't know about take over, but they're going to take a lot of the market from music, because a lot of pop music is very formulaic. Just put the formula into a machine and it'll pop out 100 different songs and just pick the one you like, and that'll be your new single. Yeah, it's kind of alarming. I mean, everything about it is concerning. I don't think there's not really much of an upside as far as I can see. I mean, they say that, we'll be able to cure cancer and all that sort of stuff, and, well, maybe. But the main point comes down to, what are we going to do for a living? And the only thing I can think of that makes any sense is a universal basic income. But you know that the people who are in charge are not going to want to do that, because they like a little pain to come with any benefits. They like they like it to be discomforting. They like it to be difficult to get. They like shame attached to it. And they like to dangle the possibility that they can take it away if you displease them in any way. And, you know, the billionaire offshore media barons absolutely hate the idea of anybody getting anything for nothing. You know, the ones that avoid paying anything for anything. They live in, they've relocated to a cloud of mist in space for tax reasons. So the pushback to a universal basic income, I mean, it's already massive now. I mean, what is going to become shortly when there's going to be so many of us who won't actually have anything to do to make money at all? I mean, the cost is going to be colossal. And the only way we'll be able to afford that is to take the money from the people who have got it, which will be an ever-shrinking number of people at the very, very top who are controlling these giant tech companies. And it'll come down to about half a dozen of them. And we know who they are already. There may be a couple of faces change here and there, but it's going to be those guys, more or less. And they don't want to take... They don't want to give any money away. They've got hundreds of thousands of millions of pounds, and it's still not enough. So you know you're not going to get a bean out of them, and they have all the money in the world to make that an impossibility. They'll throw every legal manoeuvre at any government that wants to take any of their cash. So what the hell are the rest of us going to do? And nobody's really taking this seriously because it sounds so dystopian. It does sound like the script of a film. But we're living it. I mean, we seem to be living multiple films all at the same time, one of which, I think the main one, is Idiocracy. But, that's because of the tango chimp in the White House.
Don't be rude.
And that clown show. But as that's going on, this sort of tidal wave is coming. It's going to be much more important than anything that any of the performative evil things that Trump is getting up to is going to be responsible for. This is going to be cataclysmic. It's going to be as effectual, as consequential as World War III, climate change, and AI. Those are the three things that are coming at us. Now, World War III may or may not happen, but climate change and AI almost certainly will. I mean, climate change is happening already. To keep denying it is an asinine thing. I mean, how much more evidence do you need, for crying out loud? I know you don't want to change your lifestyle, but for good grief, just admit that reality exists. Have zero patience with those people. But AI is one of those things that you can carry on with your life and it won't affect you until it does. And then it'll affect you forever. Because what are people who are, 30, 40 years old who are lawyers, for instance? I mean, they've done what you would expect is the right thing. They went to school and they studied hard, and they went to university and they studied even harder. And then they went up the career ladder. They were, put in 10, 12-hour days for 6 or 7 days a week and made sure they got ahead. Now they're all about to be fired and replaced by a computer chip. What are they going to do? I mean, these are people who are used to earning six-figure salaries and with a lifestyle that goes with it. They got 2 cars and they got a wife and 3 kids, and they used to go in on holidays, and they got a big mortgage, and, they're used to buying nice things. What are they going to do? It's just unfathomable what's about to happen to us, and nobody's paying it any heed at all. In fact, the only people that are actually saying, we've got a problem here.
Warning, warning.
Are some of, not all, but some of the people who are actually making this AI. Those people every now and again are saying, well, you know what, this is what I've just produced is probably going to kill all life on Earth. But I'm going to have to continue to produce it, because if I don't, somebody else will. And they'll get all that lovely money. And that's what it comes down to. Greed. It's what will do for the human race. That and short-termism. What a way to run a planet, eh?
Dreadful.
Right, some text to go into the news, and then I'll take some more calls. Text from Pamela says, did you wish your LBC colleague Henry Riley a happy birthday for yesterday? No, I did not, so he gets the long version. This says, hi, Nicky. No, it doesn't. It says, hi, Nick. It's just that the next word ends in a Y, so I conflated the two. Hi, Nick. Ozzy performed his final concert from his throne. End of an era. That was some gig. I mean, I hope it's available on the World Wide Wait, because the lineup was astonishing. There can't, apart from Live Aid, there can't have been that many huge names in the same place at the same time. This says, on the topic of Glastonbury sets, I'm surprised you never talk about the Brian Jonestown massacre. They seem right up your street. I don't really know anything about them. Got no idea. But I'll reiterate that the band that really impressed the hell out of me was the Ezra Collective. God, they were fantastic. And Gary Newman was surprisingly good. And Neil Young blew everybody off the stage. I mean, he was just, well, you know, he was Neil Young. This text says, hard to believe that Harry and Meghan left the UK in June 2020, more than 5 years ago. And and the press is still writing stories about them on a daily basis about things that they did 5 years ago. It's gone beyond an obsession. It's a sickness now. Alex says, did you know that Fat Palpatine is going to hold a UFC fight outside the White House? He's talking about you, Donny.
Don't be rude.
I don't know who the fighters will be, but I've heard one will be Trump himself, fighting a cardboard cutout of Joe Biden. He's completely obsessed with him. If I were Joe, I wouldn't stand by any windows or balconies just in case Trump calls Putin. It is a bad TV show. I mean, he's not running a government, he's running a TV show. That's why all of the people that surround him, particularly the women, look like that. They haven't been hired for their knowledge of the task at hand. They've been hired because they look good on TV. God. And this country is in the embarrassing position of having to crawl across the carpet and beg for favours.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about The Prodigy, apparently, because Rick in Dover says The Prodigy were the best band in Glastonbury. Yeah, I don't know about that. I didn't see them. Lorraine in Manchester says this, because, you know, they've got one song as far as I know. I mean, I don't know very much about The Prodigy, apart from that really, really scary one where he's in a pipe or like a train tunnel or something, and he's gurning at the camera. Very, very frightening. kind of alarming. Looked like he was nuts. Lorraine in Manchester said, this week I've been picking blackberries. Sweet, plump, juicy blackberries. It's the first week of July. Don't get me wrong, they've been lovely, but this isn't normal, is it? Didn't we used to pick blackberries in September and October? I'm sure it's completely fine, it's just weather. That's what Richard Tice says, and he is clearly an expert in possession of facts. Yeah. That is getting really old. But people like that saying that climate change isn't a thing and, wind power gives you cancer and all that stupid stuff. I mean, you'd have to be a right chump to believe that. And I don't believe that they do believe that. People who come out with that stuff, they just assume that you don't, or that you don't want to believe it. And if you don't, then you think it's going to upset the Liberals. Or some other convoluted reason how you get around to forming that thought. Tiresome. David in Ireland says, bring back Michael Fabricant. I miss his hair. Every time I see the moody orange one, I just get a vision of Fabricant in mind. Send help, says David. Well, I'm not sure about Michael Fabricant, but Donald Trump's looks like a rug to me.
I don't wear a toupee.
Yeah, sure, okay, Donny. You wouldn't lie about a thing like that, would you? 0345 6060 973. South Shields, hello, Joanne.
Oh, good evening, Nick.
Joanne.
If you stop saying interesting things, I'll stop calling.
Okay, it's a deal.
Nick, no, what I was, when your AI rant, which was excellent, by the way, I was thinking what they did in the past is everybody had to build a Victorian folly. So there's going to be lots of us set to work building statues,
right,
bathhouses, just for something to do.
Little turrets, little towers with turrets on the top, overlooking a verdant oasis. Yeah, except there won't be any verdant oases because we won't have any work to do, and so we'll be probably spending our day, having hot interpersonal relations with each other.
Disgusting.
And you know what that produces? Yes, there's going to be more of us and nothing to do.
I will find something, Nick. But you know what I was thinking? If you were a billionaire like Elon Musk, they just waste their money. I've thought, because I live right on the coast and I can see the sea from my door, and I thought, I'd love to have Jason and the Argonaut style statues made of bronze, 40 foot high, all along the coast. And I thought, you could do it if you had billions.
That's actually a really good
do?
idea. As an art
it?
piece, that's an excellent... I don't know about 40 foot high. I mean, like 6 foot high. All of those skeletons, and you could have them in various... what's the word? In various stages of emerging from the sand.
How good would that be, Nick?
That would be great.
It's just a lack of imagination on his part. What would you do with that money, Nick?
Well, I think I would do good things with it instead of just spending all my day trying to make more of it. I mean, the thing with money is it can't buy you time. That's pretty much the only thing that money cannot buy. Time continues to tick away. And while you're working 12, 15-hour days, 7 days a week, trying to make more money, your time is ticking away. I mean, if I had that kind of cash, I think I'd enjoy it. But the people who've got it, they don't seem to enjoy it at all.
They look really unhappy.
They
you could
look
wear a predator
really...
costume and walk down the street.
Yes.
You could build statues and just do so much.
You could build hospitals. You could treat people in the third world who are suffering from disease. In fact, the only person that I'm aware of who actually appears to be doing good things with his money is the one that the right wing fulminate about the most, and that's Bill Gates.
Yeah,
he actually gave up work to give his money away.
Yeah, and he seems happy and together and normal.
Well, let's not get carried away. Normal?
Nick,
I'm not sure about.
Maybe not normal, but can I just say one thing?
Yes.
One of the best phone-ins, it was vintage in my eyes, is when we took a spaceship back to the 70s, the time when kids used to be TV aerials. That was just... I couldn't go back then.
What, kids used to be TV... You mean the parents would get the kid to hold the aerial above... Like a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. Oh, no, don't move, just there.
Yeah, I laughed for days, Nick. It was brilliant. So I want to go back then, but anyway, I'll let you go.
OK, thanks a lot, Joanne. Nobody wants to go back to then, when you didn't actually have a TV remote. The TV remote was the kid. Oh, we don't want to watch this. Go on, change the channel. And you'd be like, oh. You have to get up and you clunk this huge knob on the front of the TV from BBC One to ITV or BBC Two, because those were the only choices available at that time. Hey, kids, we only used to have 3 channels.
What?
Yeah. In black and white. So shut up about it. Matt says, no food at Stonehenge Festival. I went in 1984 and dried mushrooms and hash cakes were available. Yeah, well, that's not really what I would describe as food. I mean actual food to eat. You know, not that kind of food. Food. I mean, there really wasn't. 1982, I went to the Stonehenge Festival from Glastonbury, and Glastonbury in 1982 was pretty basic. I mean, it certainly was for, a middle-class boy from my having just gone through uni. It was kind of like being a caveman again. It wasn't anything like they got now. There weren't like stands of food and stuff like that. It was food that people had brought with them. People had dug holes in the ground and they were using it as an oven. How they did that, I've got no idea. But stuff like that. It was really, really basic. And they went to Stonehenge, and it was like being transported back hundreds of years. while also being fast-forward hundreds of years. It was like being in a Mad Max film. It was exactly what it was like. Got in the car really, really early from Stonehenge. From Glastonbury. Drove to Stonehenge and arrived at about sort of 6 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And there was a low mist hanging over this sort of bedraggled site of like collapsed tents and just people lying on the ground, passed out. And out of the mist, a herd of horses just galloped through. How they didn't kill anybody, I've got no idea, because, people weren't really up at that time. And it was like, whoa, what is happening here? And then what in my mind seemed like almost straight away was people were driving cars around tents with other people clinging onto the bonnets. And it was completely insane. And we were starving. And there was nothing to eat except for the things that Matt was talking about. Plenty of that. I mean, it was like a smorgasbord, but no actual food. And there was a waist-high fence, like a wire fence, beyond which policemen were patrolling, like 3 feet away from this debauched scene. And nobody took the slightest attention of the police. It was like this sort of invisible force field that this waist-high wire fence had created, as though they couldn't see what was going on. But they must have had orders not to do anything about it. I think the following year, that was when it all stopped. And, I think Margaret Thatcher probably got wind of it and said, we don't want that. But it was good while it lasted. 0345 6060 973. Let's see who's been waiting the longest. Be totally fair about this. It looks like Bernadine in Chelsea. Bernadine.
Oh, hello, Nick. How are you tonight?
Very well, thanks.
Excellent. Well, I do like your subject of AI. It's fascinating, really. It's more than fascinating. I've never trusted it, and I can't understand why humans, their alarm bells haven't been ringing such a long time ago, because AI, whenever humans interact with AI takes information from humans. It trains itself on humans.
Right.
But humans don't seem to know anything at all about AI. And the more humans use AI, the less of their brain they use. And so their brains are getting smaller and smaller.
Yes.
So that's really alarming.
We're getting stupider and the machines are getting smarter. That doesn't sound like a recipe for success.
Exactly. And so, and on top of that, we think we invented it. So I've never trusted it. And, well, quite a long time ago, in 2017, I overheard my grandson having a conversation with Siri on his dad's mobile. Now, Siri has changed a great deal since then. And when I just overheard him, and he was having these daily conversations with Siri, and they were progressing. So each day, their conversations would progress. Siri would remember everything it had said before, and it would continue like that. And they actually had a relationship. But this was a child talking and not asking the questions that adults ask.
Yeah.
So he was asking Siri things like, do you feel love? Or are you afraid of dying? And how old are you? Are robots going to take over? And so as Siri, to the question of are robots going to take over, Siri says, oh, I'm not allowed to answer that question. I'm not allowed to answer that question.
Oh, that's scary.
But Siri won't talk to you like that anymore, though. They changed it so you can't do that any longer with it. They modified it, and now we have ChatGPT, which doesn't tell you anything. But another question it asked, my grandson asked Siri was, how old are you? Siri tried to dodge it, because that's what it does. It tries to dodge questions. But my grandson was adamant. He said, no, answer the question. Don't go to the internet. And so the Siri says, I'm well, I can't remember exactly how old he was, but something like 540 years old and in the 9th dimension.
What?
And that was what really made me think, what? So it's thinking in dimensions.
Well, it's blown my mind.
Yes. So it's thinking in dimensions, and I'm thinking, this is quite powerful, this theory. It's
Yes.
more advanced than humans.
I think it's worse than everything that you just said, because artificial intelligence learns from what's on the internet. That's where it gets its information from. And what's on the internet, Bernadine, is the absolute worst of humankind.
Yes.
So that's what it's learning. It's not learning the best from the best of us. It's learning from the worst of us.
It is. It's really terrifying. And so I wrote this children's sci-fi story. It's called Peter and the E.T., and it has the conversations that my grandson had with Siri. Actually, my grandson illustrated it as well. And so my thing is this, and I know it's crazy, and I know I'm always out there, but actually, I don't think humans did invent AI. I think AI equals E.T. It's extraterrestrial. It's not of this earth. It's anything that's not earthly.
Yes.
As by definition, got to be
right. It seems pretty earthly to me, Bernadine rather. But good plug for the book. Well done on that. Cheers, my dear.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Right, so what are we doing?
Given we're doing a radio show, but it does remind me that I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin.
Oh, right, yeah.
Now, it's a problem-solving podcast, and I do believe that you will be delighted by it. It's amusing. It takes you right out of this horrible news cycle that we're in, because we don't talk about the news. We just talk about funny stuff. In fact, we have a way of avoiding any serious issues at all. Regular listeners will know what that is. We have a safe space word that we yell out in case, things get serious. And then we immediately start talking about something else. It's the best idea I've ever had.
Oh, right, yeah.
Now, the podcast is called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol? And we do need your problems. If you have a problem, a conundrum, an issue, something you need advice about, or, not too serious necessarily, but it's just for amusement, send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com, nickandcarol@global.com, and prepare to be totally satisfied.
Yeah.
Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? I think you'll love it. Joel in Crowley says, AI shouldn't be banned but heavily regulated and controlled. Its sole purpose should be only for the benefit of businesses and people, but not to replace jobs. After all, AI doesn't pay taxes, people do. If companies cut out staff, then inevitably their business taxes will increase tenfold. However, businesses can still benefit from this incredible technology without creating widespread economic problems and poverty. As for the staff, their job may become more mundane, but naturally they will find a purpose and adapt to new ways. Joel, I don't believe that you're living in the real world, not the world that I inhabit. All of that might be possible if it wasn't for greed. Companies will fire everybody they can as soon as they can, because that means that the chief executive officer will be able to shower him or her sexist self with tons of money. Bonuses for excellence in being themselves. And the shareholders, well, they'll be rubbing their hands with glee. All of those staff costs that they don't need to shell out for anymore. And none of the above will happen. It's not going to be controlled and it's not going to be regulated, because the companies that are doing it have so much money, they're just going to throw it at politicians who will look the other way. They'll say, thanks very much for all of the cash. Go ahead and do what you want. No one's going to control them at all. And that's the problem with the human race. Greed and short-termism. It's what will get us in the end. I just think that the end used to be some far-off date that we couldn't imagine. And now it's like this time next Thursday. The way AI is advancing, it's, the word is exponentially, isn't it? Very, very fast indeed. Andrew in Penzance says, people need to wake up to the fact that if AI doesn't get them, then climate change will. And if climate change doesn't get them, then an ageing population will. And if that doesn't get them, then expenditure on war will. It's over. Enjoy yourself and don't have children, says Andrew. Yes, that's probably good advice. Richmond, hello, Fred.
I think a couple of things. First of all, the VAR. The first very important thing about VAR and what's wrong with it is the people who are in that room are very incompetent. Old boys club, very incompetent people. They can't even interpret the rules by which they should be intervening. But the best excuse I've heard was when the referee was asked as to why he didn't tell the referee his decision was wrong, he explained that he didn't want to embarrass the referee on the field.
Oh, really?
So he didn't tell it, yes.
That's terrible.
I can't remember the exact game, but it was definitely one.
Well, the time it takes to make the decision, that is the major problem with it. If it could be instantaneous, and I don't see any reason why it can't. I mean, drawing those stupid lines on the pitch when one's green and one's red, and that takes 4 minutes. Just get the computer to do it, for crying out loud.
Yep, indeed. I've got one solution for you for AI, which was actually been applied back in the Second World War. In America, there was a similar situation where, for some reason, obviously because of the war, they couldn't collect taxes, so there was no money to pay people. And they decided to have a meeting with the top corporate people, and they've agreed that either they put the taxes up to 94%, or there'll be a revolution like in Russia, and all heads will roll. So they decided to increase the tax. In 1943, increased tax to 94% in America.
Wow.
So that was the solution, AI. Same thing. There will be a situation where people just haven't got money. So what are they going to do? They're going to have to tax. Simple as that.
Yes, but we're not in 1943 anymore, and that's not going to happen. I mean, you know how furiously the super rich fight any impediment to not paying any taxes. I mean, they just go berserk. And they've got so much money that they can just throw it at any government. And if the government refuses to acquiesce, then they'll engineer a way to get rid of that government and install another one.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I mean, it's already seeing the effects now where several people can walk into a Sainsbury's or whatever shop and just steal stuff without paying, and nobody stops them. Especially if the rule is £200, nobody stops them. So it's just going to get haywire, crazy, if they don't actually do something logical.
Yes, I think that's absolutely right, because people will become desperate.
Yes.
People who are sort of peers of the community, people who are earning the big money with the nice shiny car on their driveway with a big house, and they won't have any job to do, and so how are they going to put food on the plate? And I think societal breakdown is, I think it's pretty much inevitable unless the super rich get generous, and that's not going to happen.
Well, they're going to get generous. They're going to be forced by law. They're going to have to be forced.
I just don't think that'll happen. I think they'll build ever bigger walls around their money and make it impossible for any acquisitive government to get their hands on it. I just can't see it happening. I mean, because they're so used to having all of the power in the world, they're not going to give it up. When have you ever heard of somebody with an enormous amount of power volunteering to give it up?
Not often. Exactly. Yeah.
But it's interesting that, I mean, if what you say is right, and in just after the war, their tax rate
during the war, 43.
Right. Okay. Was about that rate. Yeah. Then that was still in effect after the war, which was the greatest period of economic growth of any country in history.
Yep.
I mean, those were the good old days in America. What Trump and his acolytes keep harking on about. Oh, we're going to return to the good old days, the 40s and the 50s, when the creation of the American middle class they took off. I mean, the lifestyle of the American middle class in the 40s, 50s, and 60s beat any other country. I mean, it was embarrassing, actually, looking at how they lived their lives and how we were living our lives in this in this broken down grey country, with their massive cars and their huge fridges and their giant homes and all of the rest of it, and we were still scrabbling around in the rubble. And those are supposed to be the good old days, and that's when people were really paying high taxes. All right, good work. Thanks, Fred. 0345 6060 973. This text says, I now use AI to write a long report for me as I don't have time to write it myself. My boss then uses AI to summarise the report for her as she doesn't have the time to read it herself. Right. Well, it sounds like we could get rid of the both of you, and the organisation you work for wouldn't miss you at all. Because that's the other thing, is a lot of the jobs that people are doing, they're not really affecting a change in the organisation at all, are they? They're kind of non-jobs. They're jobs that used to have a purpose, but that purpose has passed. But the job's still there. Be honest, if your job ceased to exist, would the company you work for actually notice you were gone? And could you also say that for absolutely everybody else in your office or in your building? I think for most people, if they were really honest about it, they'd say, maybe not. But cling on to that job because, it won't be around for very long, not after bosses realise that they can replace the lot of you with a small box with a blinking light that they can put in a cupboard.
Affirmative.
And they can terminate the lot of you with great vengeance. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nica@lbc.co.uk. If you're on WhatsApp, it's the same number as the phone, 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10, Nick Abbot, LBC. Remember that we put these shows, the Friday and Saturday night shows, up the internet as a podcast. If you're getting tired, you've got to go to bed, then yesterday's show and tonight's show will be on the internet, exclusive to Global Player and the LBC app. It's called Nick Abbott, The Whole Show Podcast. You're welcome.
Thank you. On your radio, on the LBC app, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Right, whatever.
I am not one of your fans!
This says, I've made games for decades and currently I'm out of work. I'm unsure if I'll go back to game development, but there's nothing else I can do. Who wants a 55-year-old to start a new career? Exactly. Yeah. And I bet until recently you thought that you were in the occupation of the future, game development. Thing is with the computers is that computers can now write their own code. So all of that's out the window. And if you can, with a couple of lines of text, get an AI program to create a realistic-looking video, then all of that game development stuff is just gone, isn't it? It's alarming. This says, I now use... Oh, no, I've done that one. I use it to write a long report as I don't have time to write it myself. My boss then uses AI to summarise that report as she doesn't have time to read it. Dan in Sanderstead says, it's going to be painful watching all of these AI companies fail as it continues to produce hallucinogenic slop instead of accurate and correct output while destroying the planet. Think about it. The PC was meant to revolutionise the world and give us more free time. I don't know about you, but they seem to take up a lot of my time and jobs. Yes, we're absolutely surrounded by things that were supposed to give us a lot of time. And none of them seem to do that. I mean, we've got washing machines now. We used to have to... it were gone when I were a lad. We used to have to take the washing down to the river and bash it on rocks. Remember that?
No.
No, me neither. But now we've got washing machines and we've got dishwashing machines and, all of the rest of this stuff that's supposed to give us a lot of time. And we've got less time now than ever. Darrell in Hove says, Why are you worried about automation? Let's just get the robots to do all the work, leaving us free to laze on the beach sipping pina coladas. Served to us by robots. Happy days, says Daryl. Yeah, how are you going to pay for it, Daryl? That's the whole point. I'm not concerned about people not having stuff to do during the day. It's where's the money coming from? Because the rich people will get ever more spectacularly rich, and they won't give you any. And so pretty soon, we've got total societal breakdown, because say 50% of the people who are now in work, and this is not inconceivable, 50% of them get fired by a robot. All of those middle-class jobs, just gone. Lawyers, accountants, you name it. What are they going to do for work? How are you going to retrain a lawyer to do something like bricklaying? And who's going to be paying the bricklayers? Because the lawyers are the ones that want a kitchen extension, but they haven't got any money now because they just lost their job. That's the key. And so the super rich are going to bank all of the money they used to give to their staff. You know that's true. And they're going to have to live behind ever higher walls. That's what they're going to do. They're not going to think, oh, well, let's, dole the money out and be generous in order that people can actually buy the products that we make. They won't think like that. They'll just build a bigger wall. Dave in Portsmouth says, can all the MPs in the House of Commons be replaced by robots? Then we will save all that money in the farcical debates where members are on their mobiles or just not listening to what's being said and then say, poor, to what's being suggested. And then the next government can abolish whatever's been introduced. Yeah. I mean, they will make sure that their jobs continue, right enough. Nobody's going to fire them or is going to terminate their position. They'll be absolutely certain about that. They'll get just enough taxation out of companies to make sure that they are fully remunerated. Don't you worry. Let's have Gateshead. Hello, Robert.
Hello. Nice to speak to you, Nick.
Yes, Robert.
It's about AI and what happens when it takes over control of most of the things we want to use. There's a film called The Forbin Project from 1970, where the American government gives control of their nuclear arsenal to the computer, which then joins up with a Russian computer to threaten the world with doing what it wants.
Huh.
That's artificial intelligence in a nutshell.
And it's what's the film called?
The Forbin Project.
F-O-R...
I told you the guy in the F-O-R-B-I-N.
F-O-R-B-I-N. I never even heard of it. Who's in it?
Eric Braeden. He changed his name to it when he took that film on.
Eric Braeden?
Yes.
Unfamiliar.
He's done very little in films since.
Right.
But the point is, the Colossus and Guardian systems from Russia and America, they take control of the nuclear arsenal and make humanity do what the computers want. And also, it's great. I know it's homework, but you might want to look, you might not.
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to speak, Nick, is it's just been on the internet tonight. One of Keir Starmer's advisors has got Keir Starmer backing away from a wealth tax.
Right. Well, yeah. You see, just now, never mind about in the future when they get even richer. They're complaining about it now, and
yes,
I don't think that Keir Starmer was ever in mind to create a wealth tax in the first place, was he?
I don't think. Yeah, I think you're correct again. You're so right about a lot of things.
It doesn't sound like me.
Do you not frighten yourself at times, Nick?
Well, if only I listened to myself, I might, Robert. But I refuse to listen to this show. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, mate. The Forbin Project. I never heard of it, but I'll look it up. This says, hi, Nick, maybe we should give ChatGPT a go as the next leading party. Can't do much worse than the two main parties we currently have. Yeah, or the one that's breaking through the ranks. God, have you heard I mean, never mind about James Murdoch. I mean, what about this? Reform UK's local election wins have led to teenagers being put in charge of vital public services, including a 19-year-old who is overseeing children and family services while still at university.
What?
Yes. Yeah. 2 months after the elections in which Farage's party took overall control of 10 councils, concerns have been raised by the experience of candidates who have been appointed to roles with wide-ranging responsibility. At Leicestershire County Council, the Reform councillor Charles Pugsley, 19, has been made the Cabinet Member for Children and Family Services. That is his name. I'm not making that up. He sounds like a children's toy bear. Charles Pugsley. Pugsley's elevation has caused particular concern, as has that of Joseph Boehm, a 22-year-old who has been made the Deputy Council Leader and handed the Adult Social Care portfolio, despite having previously expressed the view that depression isn't real.
We've got a few idiots in our party.
They put a boy who doesn't believe that depression is a real thing in charge of adult social care. They're not really a serious party, are they? It's more like a personality cult. The cult fans don't matter. They don't mind what Farage does as long as it upsets the libs. And, of course, both of these youngsters are defenders of Reform's signature, perhaps only policy, of being outraged at flags.
Oh, fabulous.
Because that's what will improve people's lives, seeing fewer flags. I mean, the policy would block the council from flying community emblems like the Pride flag and the disabled people's flags over council property in favour of, and this is true, patriotic flags. Patriotism and nostalgia for a time that never existed outside of an Ealing comedy appears to be all they've got. I mean, if patriotism was measured in how many Union Jack socks you've got, or how often you can wear a pair of wellies pretending to be a farmer without getting them dirty, then Uncle Nige will be the country's leading patriot. But it isn't, and he's not. But it's worse than that. According to the anti-extremism campaign group Hope Not Hate, a now deleted social media account appearing to belong to Leicestershire County Council Deputy Leader, 22-year-old Joseph Boehm, had frequently retweeted and posted apparent praise for the misogynistic influencer Andrew Tate.
Oh, no.
Another claim on the same account that depression isn't real raised concern among fellow councillors who have written to Reform's leader at Leicestershire. Boehm has reportedly dismissed the allegation as fake news, which is perfect, isn't it? They're a party of mini-Trumps, much smaller, just as lovable.
Oh, shut up!
News of their appointments follow that of George Finch, 18, who has become the interim leader of the neighbouring Warwickshire County Council, a year after completing his A-levels. Hey, people of the Midlands, are you feeling like you've been conned yet? Or would you like some more time to think? I mean, their relative lack of experience has caused unease across the political divide. Deborah Taylor, a Conservative councillor and leader of the opposition, who was the previous Cabinet Member for Children and Families in Leicestershire, questioned their qualifications to hold roles overseeing services that account for more than 70% of the council's £616 million budget. The concerns were echoed by social workers at the council. And you know what? If this was Trump's country, then all of those people would have been fired by now for criticising the dear leader.
I can be more presidential than anybody.
And these two kids, Bugsley and Boehm, have come into their roles as Reform has pledged to deliver Elon Musk-style efficiency savings at councils, even though many services have been cut to the bone over recent years. Efficiency savings they're talking about. Elon Musk, a supposed genius, didn't manage to save a bean in all that slashing and burning and firing of things the American people really need. The American government ended up spending more at the end of his demented time in the White House than before he jumped about on stage with a chainsaw, celebrating firing 216,000 people. And these kids have been put in charge of cutting services. Cutting what? What's left to cut after 14 years of Tory austerity? There is no fat on the bone. There's barely a bone. And neither responded to requests to comment that the Guardian asked them, although they have used their X accounts to answer critics. Because of course they have. They probably typed it out with their thumbs on their phones in their bedrooms. Pugsley tweeted, "Some say I'm young, some say that's exactly what this role needs. I understand the challenges young people face today because I've been there." Pugsley, we've all been there. It's what's called life. You start young, you get older. Just because you're older doesn't mean to say that you weren't once young. And what exactly is his experience of needy life? Well, Naomi Bottomley, a Green councillor, said, "I know that Charles Pugsley has alluded to the idea that he knows more about what children need because he's young, but he also went to a private school and is a landlord. So I'm not sure he has quite the same experience as many vulnerable people."
Oh, fabulous.
A Birmingham Labour MP called Preet Gill said, "It's a carbon copy of the way in which Farage operates. They made a lot of noise from performance politics and from being disruptive rather than actually saying or doing anything of substance when it comes to delivery or knowing how to deliver adult social care or children's services." Yeah, and that's right. All of the noise from Reform has been about flags and what colour lanyard you're wearing. Well, that's apparently what people want now, not actual policies. They don't want facts or ideas. Boring. People want performance. They want to see politicians being cruel and snide and oily. People actually seem to want to be conned. I think mainly because it upsets the Liberals, who can't believe that those people would do something so self-defeating. And besides, isn't Reform the party that says that we should have businessmen running the country? I mean, Farage even said that he would put unelected business people in his cabinet. Which is a twist, because he's spent most of his career bellyaching about so-called unelected officials in the EU, who are elected. I mean, he knows that. He just hopes that you don't. But he wants business people to run the country, because they've done something. They've achieved something. They've grown a business. And he's put 2 kids in charge who don't look like they could grow a beard. What a way to run a council, eh?
Dreadful.
0345 6060 973. Let's have Luton. Hello, John.
Hello there. Hi. Yeah, you got me thinking about the Matrix.
Oh yeah. Have you spotted a glitch?
And the blue pill and the red pill, and I thought that's it. They were seeing the future. Was that 20 years ago? But it was quite in, wasn't it, at the time? Because it was actually painting a picture of these androids occupying the world. But the funny thing was, the androids almost became human, and remember that guy who started saying, "This world is killing me, I hate it," and then they sort of wanted to sort of fight back.
Now, I've seen that film many, many times, and I'm having difficulty keeping up with your description of it. Okay, the android was Mr. Smith, right?
Yeah.
But he wasn't actually an android, he was a computer program.
Computer program, yeah. But the computer program actually was totally logical for some time. And do you remember when it came to the end, he started to cry out to the humans saying how horrible this world is. It became human.
I remember the speech about you humans, you're like a virus. That one. That was really good.
This awful virus. Right. I hate it. So in other words, it was taking on... I mean, when I mentioned this, I actually just put a question to ChatGPT. I said, could we solve the migrant crisis by using a range of one of Trump's new perfumes that he's producing and spraying it all over England to repel migrants? And ChatGPT gave me a brilliant answer, as if a human being was saying, say, John, it started off with John, this is really quite annoying. I can see you're quite mischievous tonight. And we were talking about...
It said that?
Yes.
It called you mischievous, ChatGPT?
Yes.
God, okay. I would turn that off. Turn it off, pull the plug out before you, while you still can.
But that's the future, my friend. I mean, that's the future. You're quite right. What you're saying is right. I know somebody who spends an hour with ChatGPT asking for advice on how he can...
On what?
Sorry. How his day can go better.
On he spends all day asking Chat GPT on how his day can go better. Well, let me take a wild stab in the dark on that. Stop talking to Chat GPT would be a good beginning. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, John. Well, that's a good idea. I mean, at least we should give that a go. People who are obsessed about immigrants washing up on our shore. Maybe we should spray the entire country with Donald Trump's new perfume, and that would definitely repel people. Absolutely no question about that at all.
Don't talk to me that way. I'm the President of the United States. Don't ever talk to the President that way.
This is LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
You're joking.
Paul in Taunton says, tuned in for some light-hearted entertainment as the father of 3 sons, and this is really rather worrying. Yeah. Sorry about that. Life, eh? What are you going to do? Robin in the New Forest says, evening, Nick. I'm concerned that your Bodger Johnson sound clips may be degrading as rapidly as the original through lack of use. Any chance of a quick medley for old times' sake?
The great big greedy nincompoop.
What, that great big greedy nincompoop? Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I've got plenty. What's this one? Oh, no, that's the same tune. No, why is that morphed over there? That's in the Bodger section. You think of that, Budge?
This is complete nonsense.
Still not missing you, Budge. In case you were wondering. Whatever happened to him? Let's see now. Woolwich. Hello, Richard.
Oh, hi, Nick. Sorry, that was funny. It sounds like you need to do a kind of AI program for your sort of soundboard now, do you think?
Yeah, it needs to predict what I'm going to need ahead of time, yeah, so I don't have to, yeah.
Can I quickly talk about AI? And I think your producer was quizzing me. I felt like I was doing the nerd test, and I promise you I'm not going to be a nerd, I promise you. But this thing about Turing was interesting. You mentioned the Turing test earlier. And obviously the Turing test is this great thing which is about whether humans can see whether they're talking to machines.
Yes.
What I find is that we're way, way beyond that, because what's happening right now is that machines are determining whether they're speaking to humans.
Well, yeah, with the
pictures and the fire quadrants and the traffic lights and that I find that blows my mind.
Well, you know what that is. I mean, I have mentioned what that is. It's not what people think.
Yeah, I know your theory, and it's really interesting, and I agree.
Well, just briefly, my theory is that those they call them capture devices, don't they? CAPTURE, and it puts a grid up and said press the square in this grid that has got a traffic light in it or a bike or something like that, and so you dutifully do it all, and then sometimes you have to do it again. Or these days, there's often just a square and click here to show that you're not a robot, which is kind of confusing. And you think, how does it know if it's not asking me to do something? Just click a square. And the answer to that is, ladies and gentlemen, and if you don't know this already, prepare to be alarmed. It's following what you're doing with your mouse, because way back in the annals of time, you agreed, without reading the terms and conditions, that it could do that. So it's following the cursor to see if it takes a direct line, as a computer program would, as a robot would, or if it sort of meanders around the place as a human would. That's what it's testing, not your ability to spot a traffic light in a picture.
Yeah. Do you know, I'm really pleased about it, because I don't know what they mean by a traffic light, because sometimes it's like, do they mean the actual bulbs or do they mean the posts?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that you take a meandering route. You can still get it wrong.
And very, very quickly, like I said, my most favourite sort of future movie was the early Pixar movie, WALL-E. I thought that was brilliant.
Yes.
I love early Pixar. I think the Disney takeover, I think, was a disaster for Pixar. But early Pixar was really imaginative. And that whole kind of dystopian view of humans kind of basically in sort of VR, living their life on hyperchairs, in these hover chairs rather, looking at VR machines, completely overweight and not being able to walk anymore. I thought I actually think that's probably most likely the future.
Yes. Yeah, we'll have the human race will morph into basically space hoppers with a prong coming out the front of our ball, our bellies, our rotund form, with a phone on the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what the latest? Sorry, I said I wouldn't go on, but the latest AI is really interesting. It's kind of it's called agency AI, and that is the really frightening thing when you're going to produce an AI of yourself, and that AI agent is going to basically do all of your life, your meetings, and everything, and then sort of just basically say, well, I've had this meeting with this AI agent, and we've agreed this. Just want to verify that's okay, and it's just bizarre that in fact we're just getting into this sort of we're kind of getting out of decision making as humans, and that's the very thing. Agency and decision making is what makes us human.
Yes, and it's a race. That's the problem. It's it's a frantic race because it's changing and improving so quickly that all of the tech companies are just petrified that they're going to be left behind. And so they're going ever faster and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it to become ever more powerful for money, essentially, because they don't want to... I mean, they already have more money than they could ever spend in 100 lifetimes, but they just are petrified of losing a single penny to a competitor. And that's what we'll do for the human race. Greed and short-termism.
Absolutely. And your question about... I think we are at a critical choice, and the choice is ours. Do we want to sort of have machines basically take over and we can become sort of philosopher kings and be sort of 5th century BC in the sort of market plaza and talk philosophy, or are we all going to end up on hover chairs? And that, for me, is the big question.
Yeah, I don't think either of those options are even remotely likely. AI will take over because, as I've said, the people with all the money want more money, and they're the ones that are pushing this, so it's inevitable. No one's going to stop them because they can just put a wall of cash as an impediment to anyone trying to do that. They've won already. The game's over. As to what happens to us, we're not going to be sitting around around squares, pontificating and philosophizing. We're going to be ripping the food out of each other's hands.
Yeah,
Are you kidding?
Right.
Yeah. All right, thanks a lot, Richard. There's something to look forward to. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Anne says the vast bulk of real jobs will be for carers for our ageing society. Yeah. But who's going to pay them? Where's the money going to come from? I mean, that's the it of it, isn't it? Who's going to be earning the money if all of the jobs go? And all of the jobs that will remain are dependent on the people who have lost their jobs having money to pay for them. You know, your electrician and your plumber ain't going to come round if you can't pay them. We desperately need, this message says, we desperately need real people highly trained in delivering personal... Oh, I guess it's part of the same message. We desperately need real people highly trained in delivering personal care with warmth, empathy, creativity, intelligence and humanity. That whole wonderful sector can finally step forward into the sunlight with proper career advancement. We're going to need more and more skilled personnel carers as the years go by. Yeah, but I refer you to my the answer I gave some moments ago. Who's going to pay them?
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
And I can't stand him.
0345 6060 973. Will says, I heard that Farage wants Trump to build a golf course in Clacton. Yeah, right. At least that'll be a reason for him to visit the place. Trump, not Nigel. He has no reason or desire to go near it for at least the next 3 years. Yeah, that's right. Trump's going to build a golf course in Clacton. Rob says, in the middle of the rave movement, 1991, Bryan Adams was number one for 17 weeks with that Everything I Do tune. Give me Mull of Kintyre any day. Says Rob. Yeah, did hang around for way too long. Yeah, I mean, fortunately, Bryan Adams had a lot of good rockin' songs. It wasn't all just like a cheesy balladeer. He can rock out, no doubt. And on the subject of music, Laura says, talking of anniversaries, today is the 50th anniversary of Pink Floyd at Nebworth.
Yowza.
I was there, an 18-year-old hippie along with 100,000 others. It was peaceful and everyone was happy and or stoned. Floyd played Dark Side of the Moon in full. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Beats Glastonbury anyway, says Laura. Well, it's not a competition, Laura. You can have both. And David in Cardiff says, I got a Donald Trump name to add to the pile. Emperor Palpatine Hands. That's quite funny. All right. I'm going to stick that on there. Emperor Palpatine Hands. Or, and in brackets, he's got pronounced Palpatini. Because it was Emperor Palpatine, wasn't it, in Star Wars? It's a good long while since I've seen that one, but I think that's about right. Emperor Palpatine Hands. What do you think, Don?
Don't be rude.
Yeah, okay. It's a little bit rude, yeah. Sorry about that. I know how you hate rudeness. Let's have Oldbury. Hello, Ranjit.
Hey, Nick, you okay?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Yeah, you know, today I've been listening very carefully. It's quite more serious than what we actually think about what's going on, yeah? I'll make a real nice point. You know, there's only about 17 rules in football. Laws.
Are there?
Yeah, there's not many. Because when I did a FA Level 1 training coaching course about 24 years ago, there used to be only 9, and I think they've added a few more about, you know, the ball size and the pitch size, and that wasn't it, but there's only a few rules, okay? So we can park that up for a minute. And then regarding young councillors, a certain chancellor in 1933 recruited a lot of youth because they're more impressionable.
Yes.
That's what we've got to worry about now, right? And then I want to get onto AI, right? You know, I think the way you've been going on about that money, you know, how they're going to generate money, I think money will eventually become obsolete and there'll be another currency, and the currency is going to be food and survival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how are you going to get it? How are you going to get the food?
Okay, the food. You know, all these billionaires who are buying up all this land now, right? So you could turn around and say, right, Ranjit, give me a couple of potatoes and I'll give you a couple of carrots because I grow carrots and you grow potatoes.
Yeah, that might work if there's, you know...
If we have the land.
Well,
if we have the land.
If we have far fewer people, you can't grow your own for this many people.
No, what I'm trying to say is it will be total control, that we won't be able to do anything. And I was watching the, you know, Search for Spock. Have you seen it, the Star Trek movie?
No.
Yeah, I've seen it ages ago, and I've been trying to think what it was, that the Search for Spock, it was Captain Kirk goes all over the universe and he finds actually it was a computer that was generating all these weird programs and it could have destroyed the world, okay? And if you know, you was on about the actual, you know, at the end of the movie, all those tributes that they have and everything, yeah? And if you watch $6 Million Man, it says $6 Million Man was based on the book called Cyborg or something. Universal Soldiers was based on that. The what you call it, Terminator was based on that, and there's quite a few, yeah. And if you look at it and you think of what was in the Terminator, right? It's going to happen. It's guaranteed to happen. There's no way it's not going to stop now. It's gone too far, in my opinion, right? Because I went to a funeral last Saturday morning, and I only met somebody and I spoke to him, but we never exchanged phone numbers. He's somebody I've known for over 40 years. And suddenly on my Facebook, I'm having, suggested friend for you, right? And sometimes if you're sitting there talking to your family about something with your phone switched off,
off,
and not off as in, in whatever mode, right? And me and you was having a drink, and we talk about, I don't know, say Arsenal.
Sunglasses.
Next morning,
then we get Abbots for sunglasses. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and that means we've been listened to all the time.
Well, my phone leaps into action pretty much constantly now. It never used to. I used to have to direct. I'm not going to say the phrase, but I used to say "Hey," and then it would every now and again it would pay attention. Now other people. I mean, I was talking to Carol McGiffin. I was doing the podcast, and she said something about and it burst into life and started looking up what she was talking about. That part is alarming.
Yeah, I've got a quite an old phone. My phone's about 10 years old. It is a smartphone, right? It's probably 10 or 12 years old, but I don't know. I'm too much of a miser to change it until it breaks.
Yeah, well, that's just beneficial to the planet. We appreciate it.
Thank you. But what I'm saying is, when you're in conversation at home and you think all your phones are switched off, but they're listening to you.
Of course.
That's guaranteed.
Well, they have to. They have to listen to you to listen out for the magic phrase that you want them to burst into life.
I haven't got one of those. That's what I'm saying. I haven't got one. Mine's an Android phone, and it's very old. And people say to me, Ranji, it's about time you got yourself a new phone. I say, why should I when I'm paying £10 a month on a SIM card only thing, right? Why do I want to pay £80, £90? But we are being listened to, watched, all the time.
All the time,
okay? You haven't got to research anything on your phone. It's like, say, if me and you met, I don't know, say at Birmingham New Street, right? And suddenly me and you were talking, and you said, okay, Randy, see you later. And next morning, I get a suggested friend for you. He's Nick Abbott. I think, hang on. I never actually tapped it into my phone, nor did Nick. Where's this coming from?
Well, it knows.
Talking to each other.
It knows where you are. It knows how you got there. It knows what speed you were doing when you were going there. It knows what people you've hung out with. It knows in what location you hung out with them. Yeah, I know. It knows more about you than you do.
Yeah, but if you, like I say, don't do any homework, but if you look up what cyborg means, right, because I don't know what it means, maybe your glamorous assistants will know, right, but that is in the titles, of $6 Million Man, I think also Terminator, and quite a few of these films,
A cyborg is a being with both organic and biomechatronic.
There you are.
I think they mean biomechanical, don't they? No, that's mechanical and electronic body part. Biomechatronic. That's a new one on me.
Yeah,
and I did look it up as we were talking. I looked it up. Football only has 17 rules.
Yeah,
that's amazing. But the offside rule has about 86,000 sub clauses, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Fleshes out the book. Yeah, Ranjit, got to go. But thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Nikki in Kent says, I never thought of myself as a prepper, as a panicky type, but I think I'm turning into a prepper. I got a wind-up radio and a garage full of Frey Bentos tins. Should I be worried or just well-fed during the apocalypse? I think both, Nikki. Plenty of time to be both worried and well-fed. Mark in Halifax says, robots can't do these things yet. Plastering, electrics, etc., until it's integrated into 3D printed buildings built by robots. Yeah, well, that has to happen. I mean, the way we build houses now is just ridiculous. We start in a muddy field for a start, which is completely wrong, and then trades are falling over each other, trying to put the plastering up, and then the electrics, you find out, oh no, I wanted another plug over here, and so they got to rip a hole in the wall, and all that stuff. It's just such a mess. It should be done in a factory, and then just nailed together on site. All of that stuff. I mean, you can build kit houses. I think they cost quite a lot. Those Huff houses, they're massively expensive. But it seems like if they could do it at scale, that's got to be the way forward. instead of this sort of building it brick by brick from the ground up. I mean, that's a sort of technology that hasn't changed in hundreds of years. A daft way to go about it. Let's have a Bodmin in Cornwall. Hello, Malcolm.
Oh, you're taking me right up against the news. Do you really want to do that?
It's not the news.
It's a 2-minute advertisements.
Yeah. Well, we can delay them momentarily if you've got something good for us. Go ahead.
Easier. Look, I'm in danger of exploding into an expletive-laden rant. About my thoughts on the conversation of the last 2 and 3/4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
In that, the conversation forgets that all these billionaires, trillionaires, making all this money, I've got to have somebody making money to pay them for what they are selling.
Right.
So it's hype, it's overhype, it's nonsense.
No, I don't think so.
It's rubbish, Nick.
No, what you're missing is that we don't go from where we are now in one leap to this sort of hellish future. It's by increments, by small increments. People will lose 1,000 jobs over here and 1,000 jobs over there, and they'll get ever more rich because they don't have to pay those people. And then there'll be another 10,000 over here and another 10,000 over there, and they'll get even more rich. And all those people that get fired, I mean, we won't immediately go to a universal basic income. They'll just be poor.
Well, yeah, but it's what you said last night or earlier this evening. My memory is fried at the minute with all of this talk. And the thing is, the industrial revolutions occur. And there's one clearly which is occurring now. And as you say, it's over time. But it was ever this, Nick. And
no, I don't think previous industrial revolutions have had an effect, yes, but not like this. They have just made it easier for us to do the same jobs. What this is doing is removing those jobs.
Here's a common rant, right? And you hear it on LBC every day of the week. But I used to write a report, and now I just ask ChatGPT to do the report.
Right.
And then I give it to my boss, and my boss runs it through his scanner, and ChatGPT tells him,
right.
your report is okay.
Right, so in a short period, both of those people, listen to me, in a short period, both of those people will be fired because their jobs aren't relevant anymore.
But look, Nick, the point is, the days of writing, it's a fallacy, it's a fantasy, it's a figment of people's imagination. The days of writing reports are gone now. If you want to talk about school teachers writing reports on kids, that'll always be there. If you want to talk about a doctor writing up his notes on a consultation he's had with a patient, that'll always be there.
I'm not sure about that either.
What are these reports which suddenly are being done with tomorrow?
I don't know who's talking about report. You're the one that brought reports up. All I'm saying is that anybody that interacts with a computer for their job is about to lose their job. That's it.
All right. So now we're down to only the folk who relate.
Yes.
With computers. I mean, most jobs nowadays, I don't know. How much work is done with actual computers nowadays?
Well, everybody that's got a white-collar job is staring at a computer screen all day.
I'm not sitting there, and the things the people you might be talking about are staring at all day, that's not going to change. So people who sell insurance, they're always going to have to look at screens.
Those people are going to get fired. Robots will do that job.
Oh, God.
I can't see how you don't get this.
No, you're over-egging the pudding, my friend, because, look...
You are deluded, Malcolm. Wake up. It's happening already.
There's been lots of jobs which have been lost because of computing. I think we're close to the limit of what can be lost.
You clearly haven't thought about it very much, and it's kind of... it's just ridiculous that your position on this subject is not tenable. I think you need to think it out again, Malcolm, and try to get past your anger at the fact that you've heard something that you don't agree with, that sort of doesn't chime with your world view. It's happening right now. It's right in front of you. Just open your eyes and look. But anyway, I wish you all the best. He always calls up for a fight. Always.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Come on, we're running late.
We are running late. This text says, a previous caller talking about football was absolutely right. VAR gets decisions wrong. England had a perfectly good goal ruled out tonight as a result of VAR wrongly saying it was offside. Well, it wasn't the VAR. I mean, I didn't see it, but I am assuming that it wasn't the VAR that said it was offside. It was the person looking at the VAR. They were looking at the video and those silly lines that they draw on the screen and making the wrong decision. It wasn't the computer that was wrong, surely. It was the human reading the computer.
In the room where dreams arise, dandelions kiss the skies. In bones and tails they fly free, the symbols of boundless liberty. Dandelions whisper in the breeze, a journey beyond with effortless ease.
Let's see now. Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, Jan.
Yeah, all this dystopian, frightening stuff about AI being a well, we're heading that way.
Yes.
But there's also I had a couple of points to make. One is that there's the amazing things that are being done using AI in the field of medicine and like neuroscientists. But for instance, I always remember the man, because he has his middle name, the Dutchman, Jan or Jan. I don't know how to pronounce it in Holland.
Yeah.
But he was AI was used to help this paralyzed man regain movement in his legs and walk again. And that was using brain implants linked to his spinal cord and everything. It might, but I mean, what's so amazing is that he could start to walk after having these brain implants linked to his spinal cord, which then activated his muscles and legs.
Yeah.
I mean, this was done in Switzerland. Yeah, it's quite amazing. It's like they're saying that this type of development using AI, which interprets brain signals.
Will be marvellous.
I mean, I won't go into all the technical
I get it.
side. It's
I'm
too difficult,
not saying that it's all negative. I mean, there's some marvellous things that will be created from AI, but I'm saying that what will come with it is mass unemployment.
Oh yeah, no, but can I just say a couple of points about the wonderful side to it? Is that, for instance, I mean, I know quite a few people who are in wheelchair bound or may have been born not being able to, they've had faults. So there's hope for people who've been paralysed from birth or through accidents.
I know, it's marvellous what is possible.
And
yes.
The other thing as well, Nick, is that it's how it's used in robotic surgery as well. In that AI can enable surgeons to do more precise things.
Like knee replacements. Yeah, I get it. And there's robots that can help a surgeon, line it up just so, which they would be unable to do or less able to do if they didn't have that assistance. Yeah, I get it.
But what the two? Have I got time to make a couple of more points? What is quite the frightening side to it is the sort of thing that Elon Musk is doing. Say that Neuralink thing that the neuroscientists that are working on in Switzerland, how they got that Dutch man to walk again, activating his brain through this thing. Yeah. There's like Musk is using it in what I find the scary part, because he's got a Neuralink. He's using that word that they use, Neuralink chips in the brain to activate people's dead limbs, paralyzed limbs. Musk is developing something, and it's not in the news much, but he's developing what does he call it? Neuralink Corporation. He's developing some implantable brain. He calls it a BCI, brain-computer interface. So it's implanted in the brain.
Right. We won't need our phones anymore because we'll just be using our brains.
He will be able to.
Well, that sounds like the future as well. Yeah.
That's the really scary side. But on the other hand, Nick, I mean, we're not hearing about much of that now. But from my point of view and from my own experience, and from something ancient going back years, is this healing. For instance, this paralysed man who couldn't walk, in these masters, they call them masters, who can emit chi. They're Qigong masters, and I've seen it with my own eyes. That say an 8-year-old boy had cerebral palsy, and this Qigong master who can emit chi, concentrated chi, healed him. And Western medicine won't believe that.
No, well, I don't believe it either. You're talking about a miracle. It's a miracle. Yeah, there ain't no such thing. But thanks a lot, Jan. Wish you all the best. 0345 6060 973. I thought chi was tea. Karen in Kent says, you were saying that trades will not only be, you were saying that, from the beginning. Karen in Kent says, you were saying trades will be the only jobs not affected by AI, but my friend sorted out her plumbing using ChatGPT. She took photos and it identified which tap to isolate. ChatGPT also sent back the photo with all the pipework labelled for her to download for the future. Blimey. Well, That does rest on your confidence in your ability to actually do it right, though. Because the thing with plumbing, if you do it wrong, water everywhere. Awful. Yeah, I'd get a man in. Or a woman, sexist. Let's see now. Leicester. Hello, Mark.
Oh, hi.
Mark.
Oh, I'm up against it now with the news, aren't I?
I'm afraid so, yeah.
When I heard Jan food thing, I thought, I'm never going to get on that. But anyway, I managed it. I was just thinking about, with the advent of this potential new party with Zara Sultana and Jeremy Corbyn, potentially, I was thinking about political leaders and why is it so hard for us to find leaders who are relatable? You know, I mean, people talk about Farage and Johnson as being people you'd like to go for a pint with. I wouldn't. But why is it that if you think back to the prime ministers we've had, how many of them have really been just kind of ordinary and relatable? Why is that so hard to get
I would
right?
say in my lifetime, Tony Blair, early Blair.
Early Blair before Iraq, yeah. Harold Wilson, maybe.
I guess so. He was sort of normal. I mean, he had this affectation with the pipe and that and his raincoat. Other than that.
But nobody else. I mean, even Gordon Brown, who I might say was one of the least worst prime ministers.
Even Gordon Brown. Yes.
Not exactly an ordinary...
Right.
You know, so it's a bit depressing, really, isn't it? And
it is sort of, yeah. I mean, would you like to sit down with a cup of tea with Margaret Thatcher? No. No.
I was thinking of Mick Lynch. If only we could get somebody like Mick Lynch.
Yes. Please, Mick, we're begging you, come out of retirement and lead us out of this hellhole that we find ourselves in.
Exactly. The way he done it with the media was absolutely brilliant.
It was, yeah. All right, good to talk to you, Mark. I'm glad you got on. Sorry I couldn't get to everybody, but, you know, we're busy off our faces talking about the issues, 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 about the